Welcome to Market Recap Live. I'm your host, Joseph Martin, and thank God it's Wednesday. Tonight we are taking a look at ticker AMZN. You might know them better as Amazon. Amazon.com Incorporated was founded in 1994 by Jeff Bezos, with the first office opening in Bellevue, Washington. Now they are publicly traded on the NASDAQ and have a market value over $2 trillion. Amazon is in the broadline retail industry in the consumer discretionary sector, and they are listed in the S&P 500 index. Some of Amazon.com Incorporated's competitors are Microsoft, ticker MSFT, Alphabet, ticker GOOGLE, and Walmart, ticker WMT. We're going to review Amazon.com Incorporated's earnings, their website, and visit the charts to perform a quick technical analysis. But before we do that, let's do our roll call and check our stream poll. We are streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. Let's get this chat going and tell us where you're tuning in from. Put a YT in the chat if you're tuning in from YouTube, and put an FB in the chat if you're tuning in from Facebook. Make sure I pull this chat up. Okay. While you guys are filling up the stream and the chat, here's the mission statement. We are building a community over here for people who want to take control of their financial situation by learning how to unlock the wealth building power of the stock market. And we are streaming Monday through Friday, following trading sessions at 11 p.m. Eastern time. The U.S. stock market regular trading hours are 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And there's a link for the New York Stock Exchange calendar down in the description. Okay, let's get to it. Let's get to these earnings highlights. There we go. We're getting smoother. Amazon.com Incorporated, ticker symbol AMZN, the $2.8 trillion company, reported its first quarter earnings today. They have a 52-week high of $265.91, which took place today, and a 52-week low of $178.85 that occurred on April 30th. What's up, bro? Facebook Atlanta, appreciate it. And a 52-week low of $178.85 that occurred on April 30th, which is a trading range of $87.06, and they closed today at $263.04. Amazon.com Incorporated earnings report beat on the top line, reporting revenue of $181.50. Wait a minute, too fast. Reporting revenue of $181.5 billion, which was higher than the market expectations of $177.4 billion, and beat on the bottom line as AWS cloud growth and strong advertising sales offset heavy capital expenditures in artificial intelligence. EPS was higher than the analysts and market expectations of $1.62 when they reported an adjusted EPS of $2.78. Amazon.com Incorporated reported a GAAP net income of $30.3 billion, which was higher than the $17.1 billion net income they reported this same quarter last year. This represents an increase of 77.2%. So for the first fiscal quarter of 2025, their net profit was approximately 43.6% lower than it is compared to now a year later. The earnings were released after the market closed, followed by a 5:30 p.m. Eastern time conference call. As far as guidance, management expects second quarter net sales to grow between 16 and 19% to a range of 194 to 199 billion. That 52-week low compared to today's closing of $263.04 represents an increase of 47.1% over about a year. So if someone invested $1,000 in April at that 52-week low of $178.85, they would be seeing a gain of $470.73. Should have put that ticker back on the screen. Okay, Now let's go here. Let's go to the main screen. Let's talk about why we visit these company websites. We're looking at the visuals and text to find answers to these key questions. What goods and or services does the company sell? How important are those goods and services to their customers? What makes this company stand out from the competition? And how well do they take care of their employees? To find these answers, we browse 4 key areas: the homepage for goods and or services, about us for purpose, vision, and mission statements, careers for employee benefits and opportunities, investor relations for SEC filings, and stock quotes. And for your convenience, all companies featured in tonight's live stream are down in the description. Now let's go back to Amazon.com's website to check that out. Let me blow this up, bring us over. There we go. We can take this off the screen, and then we can put this here. And then we can put this here. Man, I love it when these buttons is on point. So we where we need to be at. So here's Amazon's website, and we know they sell everything. So goods and services is everything. Man, they took the internet over by storm, didn't they? So some people are unaware of this particular section of Amazon.com's business. It's AWS. So it's Amazon Web Services. I'm looking at the bottom to see if they got something on it down here at the bottom of the screen. Yeah, right here. So right here, Amazon Web Services. So let me talk to you about that real quick. Let me explain this. So most people think that Amazon's biggest profits come from their website. They make a lot of money from this, but it's a lot of overhead costs with it. They have to pay, they got the delivery. It's a whole bunch of costs. The operating cost for this in particular business of Amazon is very expensive. But the Amazon Web Services that I pointed down at the bottom, they have a wider profit margin because the overhead, the operating costs are lower than their website, their merchandise retail website business. I think when I researched it, out of their revenue that they make just from this in particular online business, profit is only 9%. So a lot of Amazon's profits come from their Amazon Web Services, this down here. Not going to go to that, but I just wanted to let you know that that is another place or source of revenue that comes into this company. Like when we look at different brands, that's another, what would we call it? Subsidiary. I think we would call it a subsidiary of their business. All right, so let's look if we can find about us. I see careers, so let me take them off the screen. So right here, get to know us. So I see careers, about Amazon, and investors relations. So this is what we're going to look at right now. Let's go to about Amazon. Let's see if we can find the mission, purpose, and all that. Mission, purpose, and vision statement. Let's zoom in. That is 150. Put me back on the screen. See, AWS, Amazon Web Services. Amazon.com announces first quarter results, which was their earnings today. And they jumped up after hours. So we'll look at that on the charts. So right here, AWS OpenAI announced expanded partnership. This is when I said that was extremely profitable for Amazon. This in particular business that they do. So right here, Meta. So Facebook, Meta platform signs agreement with AWS to power agentic, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, AI on Amazon's gravitation chips. Graviton chips. I don't know why I said gravitation. Graviton chips. Okay. All right. Now we supposed to be looking for the mission statement, vision statement, what we do, leadership, and purpose. So what we do, they talk about what we do. I'm on the screen. Amazon's mission. Okay, so this we can look at this as the mission statement. Amazon's mission is to make customers' lives better and easier every day by relentlessly inventing on their behalf. We work to provide broad selection, value, and convenience across a range of customer experiences. And the links for these websites are down in the description for your convenience. So this is another subsidiary of Amazon. So they dealing with artificial intelligence, the Amazon Web Services I was talking about. Look at all this data center stuff in the back. And this is where I started seeing the AWS stuff and the entertainment. So you'll see it like during football games, they'll mention AWS during replays and stuff like that during sporting events. And here's the operations. This is the website thing that I said has a high overhead. They have a high operating expense when it comes to their Amazon online merchant service. Amazon ranks number 3 on Fortune's world's most admired companies list. Okay. So most people know about this, but they don't know about the data center that they offer through the AWS. So OpenAI, we talked about that. Okay. So let's move on to careers. They talk about us, what we do, working at Amazon, leadership, our impact. No, we're not gonna go through all that. So let's go back. Okay, careers right here. Let's go there. So now we're looking at the careers. Did they zoom us out? I believe they did. So we zoomed in at 150, reject all. Okay, so student opportunities, hourly jobs, AI careers. I'm looking for the benefits. That's what I'm interested in. What are the benefits? What do they give their employees? Impact the future. This is a short scroll, wasn't it? So let's go up here. Let's see if it's in a drop down over here. Locations, teams, job care, benefits. Bam! But I'm blocking it. You can't see it. Right over here in the drop down that we used on the left-hand side of the screen. Hit that, go down to benefits. And they talk about the hiring process. Let me go right here. How we hire. That's what I had seen. So let's see what we got here. Stay healthy and financially fit, ready for the unexpected, time for you when you need it. So it seems like it's real generic by how they explain what they offer and things like that as far as benefits. They don't give many details. They're just giving you an idea of what it is they offer for the benefits. Global. So if you put United States, it changes. And now they give more specifics. So that's good. Health, financial security, restricted stock unit. So you can be able to get stock. They give you stock. Okay. Man, what is up with this thing? With adoption assistance. Here's another company that offers that. And you get an employee discount off Amazon.com. That's cool. Okay, so we looked at that. Let's see what the investors relations looks like on their website. I'm just going back. Remember, the link for the website is down in the description for your convenience. So we go down here, right here, careers, investors relations. So let's see what that looks like on website. On Amazon's website, you probably never scrolled down to the bottom and even knew this was on the website. You was too busy shopping. But they have it right down at the bottom. You could have been invested in the company. Somebody can see that information down there at the bottom. All right, so here, this kind of hard to see. It's like grayed out. But here's the stock price. They trade on the NASDAQ, ticker symbol, percentage change. So we're going to look to see if we can find the stock quote with more detail than that. Click the drop down over here. No. Can we click this over here? Close that out. Investor relations. I don't see anything we can click to kind of get a full quote. I'm looking around. Our company, investors. Let me click this and see what it does. Nope. All right, so we done. It don't look like they give much information about their website. I mean, about their stock on the actual website. So let's go ahead and go to this before we go to the charts. I moved a little bit too fast. All right, let's talk about the mobile limitations. Before we look at the charts, remember, professionals trade from a computer, not a mobile device. Mobile trading apps are limited. Traders lose critical detail and advanced platform features on a mobile screen. So be advised, trading from a phone is usually the least effective way for managing assets. To see every detail, use a full trading platform and watch these streams on a computer or TV. Only use your phone as a last resort. Now let's look at the charts for Amazon. Here we go. We got the ticker pulled up. Let's get our disclaimer on here for Schwab. There we go. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like button. I definitely would appreciate it. So Amazon, I was telling you guys, they went up after hours. So I'm going to show you how to do that because we never really did that before. So right now we're looking at a 1 year daily chart. Here's where we get that information. 1Y, 1 year, 1 day. So each candle represents a day. If we look right here, the B is the bid, the A is the ask. So the B is our buyers and the ask are sellers. So that's what they're asking for. So when the stock closed today, they closed at $263.04, but now it's trading higher after hours. So we need to open up and look in this chart to find where that is. So I'm going to go over to my minute chart. And I already have the extended hours open. So I'm going to zoom out so I can show you how to put this on here. Right here in the settings, I usually have this cut off. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Go into settings. And right here where it says equities, down here it says show extended hours trading session. I usually have this unchecked. I looked at it earlier because I was doing my research before the show started. So this is a 5-day, 1 minute chart. The information is right there where I show you guys how to read the charts. So this is a 5-day, 1 minute chart. And this cuts out the noise of the extended hours. But we want to see what is happening in the extended hours. So we have to manually go into the settings and cut that on. So go into the settings, go to equities, and right here where it says show extended hours trading session, apply and okay. So the extended hours are going to be this dark grayed area. So we can see that they did the earnings call announcement after the market closed. So central time would be Eastern, like it would be 5:30 Eastern time. So they did this quick little dip after hours to 245.02, and then they spiked up to $277.12 during after hours. But we couldn't see that if we didn't open this up on the charts that way. So that's how we do that. And I can zoom in to spread this out a little bit more. There we go. Just go ahead and click that button. But this is a minute chart. So each one of these candles represent 1 minute in the extended hours. So the high they reached was $277.12 after hours. Let's go back to the main chart. We're going to start at the weekly. So this is a 10-year weekly chart for Amazon. So this is 2016, 17, 18. These dashed vertical lines is a cutoff for the year. So that year is going to be to, when you see the year 2020, that's going to be to the left. So everything here is 2020. 2025 is going to be to the left. So we can't see 2026. So we know that on the right side of 2025 would be 2026, which is this area right here. And here is today's candle, and we are looking at a 10-year weekly chart. So this candle is a weekly candle. And we're going to use this to draw our levels. Tonight, I'm going to move a little bit quicker because we're going to just use lines this time, if I can help it. We're just going to use lines. We're not going to use the zones just to give a rough idea of what we're looking at. I'm going to say that's what I'm seeing as support and resistance areas, levels, support and resistance level. And I use the weekly chart to draw those. So let's go over to the 1 year daily chart. And now we can see that even though we use the weekly chart to draw the lines, now when we break those weeks into day candles, we can see how the price action on those days were responding to those lines we drew on the weekly chart. It translated right over. So since the price is trading up here right now, these lines would be acting as support because it's below the current price action. And we can see how these levels were tested multiple times. So this area of $200, when Amazon was trading around $200, it got tested a few times. It got tested here, 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 here. Well, it was trading around it, but this was an actual test because it held that support. These candles actually broke through support. So that would be like a zone. And I said we weren't going to draw zones, but we would put a zone there. It dipped into that zone as a support zone versus an actual support, just flat out level. So it looked like it presented a buying opportunity before it rallied up. When it came down to an area of around $200, it looked like buyers stepped in and they really liked it around that $200 level. And it took off after it tested it this third time, I would say. Even though it didn't hold, it didn't go too far away from that support. And then this area acted as resistance here, here, and here. It didn't quite come to it, but it didn't get across it. So it tested it here, here, it gapped through it, and then it created this level right here that I drew as resistance based off the price area here. So since this price levels are below that line, this is going to be resistance. So that's where I got those levels from. As far as where Amazon is right now, we're looking at this candle right here. So let me zoom in. Right where it has this tag for the 52-week high, this is where we focused on today. So let me cut my floating data box on, and we're going to talk about the stock quote for Amazon. So Amazon opened today at $257.99. They had a high of $265.91. They had a low of $257.70, and they closed today at $263.04, which was a trading range of $8.21. And remember, I don't know how many times I said it, but they had a 52-week high today. They announced earnings after the market closed, and we looked at the extended hours and seen that they hit another high, but it was in the extended hours of $277. And I'm rounding that off. Now let's talk about the volume. So we've already mentioned numerous times that on earnings and around earnings, companies usually experience increased levels of volume. And we can check that by comparing it to the label that we have on my charts that talk about the average volume and the volume rank percentile. So let's break that down. When we look at the volume, before we look at the labels, today, Amazon traded during the regular trading hours today, 72 million shares of their stock. Now I'm going to take me off the screen, and we're going to take this floating data box off, and we're going to look at what that average is for Amazon. So their average trading volume is about 45 million shares traded in a session. So today was definitely higher than average. And then when we look for what they traded for on Tuesday, it was slightly below average when they traded 42 million shares the day before earnings. Okay, so now let's talk about the volume rank percentile. This label right here, put me back on the screen. So the volume rank percentile is 92.9%. So what this means, to get a clearer idea of what's going on, instead of just looking at the average label, we use the volume rank percentile to try to filter out the noise. Okay, so out of the most recent 252 trading days, only 18 days had higher volume than today. So that's what this means. DA, days above, DB, days below. All right, so we looked at Amazon. We did the earnings for that, so we can move on. We don't need to click that. Let's move on. Let's go here. Let's go back to this. Of course, only. Absolutely. Check the chat. Let's move on. Let's move on. So back to the community. I would appreciate it very much if you guys share the stream, hit the like button, subscribe. And if you wish to send a monetary gift to support the content, PayPal, Cash App links are down in the description. And it did not put it up. I know what's going on. Let me go over here. Give me a second. I know what it is. We figuring it out. We figuring it out. Here it is. Got him. Got him. Now put this back on chat. There we go. And I'm going to repeat this. And if you wish to send a monetary gift to support the content, Cash App and PayPal links are down in the description, as well as the ticker on the screen. Now, okay, let's look at what the S&P 500 index did today by using the SPY ETF. This ETF gives investors an opportunity to participate in the broader U.S. market by allowing them to own a percentage of each company in the S&P 500 index. All right. So let's go ahead and look at that. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm seeing the room is getting more people in here. Hit that like button. I definitely would appreciate it. Let's go back to the charts here. Now that we're on the charts and I'm back on the screen, we are done with Amazon. So let's take them off. And we're going to go up here to the symbol box and we're going to type in SPY so we can pull the SPY up. And boy, oh boy, oh boy. Here we are. Now we are looking at a 1-year daily chart. I'm just going to go right over here because this is where we're focused on, because we have already been looking at SPY every time we do the live stream. So we have our technicals on here already. So this is the candle for today. And we can see that it had a wick that dipped down below this 9-day simple moving average. And it did fall lower out of our support resistance zone. So now that it's trading in it and below it, this zone is resistance now. And let me put the SPY ticker on the screen. So somebody pop in, they know what we're looking at. We're looking at the SPY. So they had a 52-week high on Monday. That's when they had that $715.63. Now, here is the thing. The SPY also popped up after market hours today as well. So a lot of big companies had earnings today. Let me see if I can pull this up on my screen over here real quick so I can tell you about these other companies who had earnings. Market recap episodes. Give me a second. Hang with me. Earnings. Today's date, we are looking at the 29th. So here's what I have for earnings today. We had Amazon. We had Meta. So Meta had earnings today. Who else? Microsoft had earnings today. Google had earnings today. And one more. And Ford had earnings today. So a lot of big names had earnings today. And the reason why I'm saying that, those companies are in the S&P 500 index. So those companies, when they spiked up after hours with their earnings, that caused the SPY and the S&P 500 to spike up after hours as well. So let's go over and see what that looks like. So we need to go over. Here it is. Here it is. And we already zoomed in. So where is a high at? So it went up to like $714. You can see it. They don't have it on here, like the actual price tag or the price label. So we're eyeballing it. So it popped up over $714 after hours. This gray area is the extended hour zone that we talked about earlier. We're just looking at the SPY ETF with that. So now we're going to look at the ETF quote and get the information about what happened today. So the SPY opened at $711 today. They had a high of $712.20. They had a low of $708.37. They closed today at $711.58, which was a trading range of $3.83. And when we look at the trading volume, they're still trading below average, guys. They traded, I'm stuttering. They traded 41 million shares of this ETF today. So when we look over here at my volume label, the volume label is telling us that the average volume is 76 million shares of this ETF is what they usually trade. And today, they only traded that 41. Verify that. 41. Yes, the 41. which was even lower than what they traded yesterday. So this is the volume for yesterday, 43 million. And now the price is starting to come down. So we have two candles that have closed lower than the candle we had on Monday. And that gap up after hours did put it back above this support resistance zone. And if we look up here, we can see that it's trading around 712, which would put it in that zone. It still would be trading in that zone, but near the top of that support resistance zone. Okay. So that's what we're seeing there. Let me put me back on the screen. We talked about the volume and we covered the SPY. Okay, we moving on. Oh, let's talk about the days above and days below, because we didn't talk about the volume rate percentile. So the volume rate percentile is 2.8%. So remember, DADB. So out of the most recent 252 trading days, only 7 days had lower volume than today. The volume was extremely low compared to what they usually trade on average and compared to the other 251 trading days, because this day counts as one of the 252. So that's why I said it that way. So let's go back to the main screen so we can talk about what we about to do next. Now we're about to look at today's winners and losers. But first, we're going to look at the loser so we can end the night on a high note. So let's go back to our charts. We can take the SPY off the screen because we are done with that one. We're going to go over here to Market Watch. Actually, let me put the screen back on me because I don't like when I don't have it set right. And then you guys see me digging around like, man, what is going on? So I'm about to set this up. I didn't have it right, so I'm glad I did it. So now we are looking at the SPY. I did pull it up. Here we go. So let's go. Let's pull it back up. Here we are. So here's the S&P 500 watch list. I already have the losers set up at the top. So the biggest loser for today is ticker TER, Teradyne Incorporated. Teradyne Incorporated lost 19.41% today. Ooh-wee. So the previous close was $380.13. And the close today was $306.33. So we're going to do the quick math on this 19% loss, and we're going to use a different number. So let's say somebody invested $300 as an example. If someone invested $300 and they lost that 19.41%, we will multiply this 19.41, hit the percentage. It's going to convert it to a decimal. We hit equal. So they would have lost $58.23. So we would negate this and then add the original investment amount back to it, and it will show how much that person will have left of their investment. So they would have $241.77 left from their $300 investment. So that's how we would do that math. Now, let's go over to analyze after we select it. So we select that company, go over to analyze, and boom. So here's the ticker. They're in the information technology sector. Okay. And they're the biggest loser for today in the information technology, which is kind of strange because I believe the information technology sector did well today. And there's a quick way for us to use the visualize tool to see if what I'm saying is even true. Just a quick visual. So we can go to Market Watch and go to visualize right here. Click that, the sub tab. And we're going to break the S&P 500 down to that sector. So we want to see information technology. So it would be this one right here. And now we can get a quick idea of how this sector performed. So it looks kind of mixed. I see an even balance of green and red. And here's Teradyne right here. It's really red compared to the other ones. So it looks like they performed the worst. As far as, yeah, on the negative side, which of course they did. They're the biggest loser, right? So that's why theirs is bright red. And INTC is bright green. So I believe that's Intel. So you got Intel, and this is Seagate, Light. So those are the brightest ones I see on here. And NXPI. But let's go back. I just wanted to show you how to use that tool real quick. We go back to analyze. We still have Teradyne pulled up. So let me take me off the screen so you can see this area. We're reading right here at the company profile, company name. I have it on the screen, but right here, Teradyne Incorporated, because you won't have these labels. So here's the website, and the link for the website is also down in the description for your convenience. Let's read a little bit of the description. Teradyne Incorporated engages in the design, development, manufacture, and sale of automated test systems and robotics products in the United States, Asia Pacific, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. All right, so let's go to their website. Pulled it up, blow it up, zoom in. They got the robots right there. You can't miss it. Let's zoom in. How far in we gone? They got it on the left-hand side. I can't see it. Let me try this. That's weird, man. They got it on the left. It's clipped. I can't see it. Maybe now. Let's try it now. All right, there we go. 150. Why is this thing putting this big? There we go. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to put me back on the screen. And we're going to scroll through this website and just get an idea and a visual of what's going on. So they deal with advanced robotics. Here are the different industries and sectors that they serve their goods and services to, or sell their goods and services to: defense and aerospace, memory, storage, wireless, semiconductor. Together, we solve complex test and automation challenges. So they help troubleshoot different issues companies may be having with the robotic systems and programming, the careers that they offer for their company and roles and things like that. Okay. So they have About Us down at the bottom, and they also have company information right here at the top. So we can find About Us right here. So we see About Us. We're going to visit careers and investors relations. So I like this website, the fact that it's really organized and the things are right there. So we're going to go ahead and click About Us and see what we can find. We are looking for the vision, purpose, and mission statement, anything we can find of that nature. Okay. So contact us. They have a video here. Teradyne connects and tests it all. And remember, the links for these websites are down in the description for your convenience. Here it is. This is very convenient. I love the way they did this. Our values, okay? Teradyne is a company built on strong principles and personal responsibility. Our employees take ownership in upholding our values and maintaining the company's well-regarded reputation. Okay, corporate social responsibility. Join the Teradyne team. Okay, now they're talking about the investor relations and leadership. We are at the bottom, guys. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the top. We're gonna use this. Go to careers. All right, now I'm interested in finding the benefits. So we're gonna scroll and see what we can find. Fueling new levels of innovation through test and automation. And here are other names they go by. Subsidiaries. And I like this map. So they show all the job opportunities they have across the globe. Ain't that nice? So you can click where you're interested in finding a job at and see what those positions they have available at that location. So here are the different, what do I want to say? Departments, the different departments that they have within their company. So corporate functions, engineering, finance, human resources, et cetera, et cetera. Remember, the links are down in the description for your convenience if you want to scroll through a little bit deeper. I don't see anything about the benefits, so maybe we need to click around. This looks like it's the different departments I just said. This is the different companies, benefits. There we go. See, we got to click around, got to explore a little bit. So there we go. Click benefits. And now we can see what they have to offer. So here's the benefits and perks. Looks like it's a brief summary of the different things that they offer. I don't see anything that jumps out at me. At Teradyne, we believe that people who do great work deserve great support. That's great. So view open positions. They want you to apply. They ain't telling you what they're doing until you apply. You better apply, and then we'll tell you what benefits you get. Some companies disclose it very openly, and some are kind of generic and vague. So let's find our investors relations now. Go to about us. Nope. We're going to go back, company right here, investor relations. So let's go here. Thank you for tuning in. Hit that like button. I definitely would appreciate it. Have any questions, put them in the comments. So we are in the investors relations section. Here's the stock Snapchat. So let's see if they offer snapshot. I don't know why I said Snapchat. Stock snapshot. We're going to look for the stock data. Here it is. So here's the quote in the chart, historical data, other tools that they offer. Here is, that's a funny looking chart. It's very small. Detailed information. So here's the like stock quote information. All right. So we found everything we need to find on the website. We did a quick browse of that. So let's go over to ThinkorSwim. Put that back up here. I left that Schwab disclaimer up there while we was looking at that website. Shame on me. All right. So let's go to the charts. Oh, they gap down. And we've had this company on, we featured this company on the website. On the live streams before. So they've been the biggest winner a couple of times, and they've been the biggest loser a couple of times. It's been flip-flopping back and forth. So now they definitely the biggest loser with this big gap down that they had. And these are support and resistance zones that we had drew previously. And we can see that it definitely gapped down below this support zone, which has now become resistance. Now, during the trading session today, it did push up into that zone, but it wasn't able to clear the top of it. And I believe that's what this $340 is. I believe that's the top of this zone. It's actually 340.42. It's not exactly 340. So when I mouse over it, you can read it in that label. It says start at 340.42. So this price level is actually 340, but that would be the top of that zone. Watch making a whole bunch of noise. Okay. So as far as support and resistance, we already have that drew on the chart. The stock is now trading below this 9-day simple moving average. That's going to be this -9 line. This dashed green line is the 9-day simple moving average. And we are looking at a 1-year daily chart. And we already have the technicals on here. So these levels right here are now resistance. This is going to be my first area of support that I would look for the price to possibly bounce off of. But who knows? It could do anything. Now down here, this is the 200-day simple moving average, this dashed white line. So those are the studies that you're seeing on the chart. Let's zoom in over here. So yeah, this was the first red flag. Yesterday, so on Tuesday, that candle looked like it was having a hard time closing or staying above that 9-day simple moving average. And yesterday it closed below it, and then we gap down. So the gap would be from this low, I'm gonna remove these, to this Wicks high. That's the actual gap. So right now there's no normal hours trading recently between $374.68 and $335. So this is our gap. And this is where the stock is trading at right now. So let's do the stock quote, and then we'll talk about the volume. So cut the floating data box back on. So Teradyne opened today at $314.54. They had a high of $335. They have a low of $301.86, and they closed today at $306.33, which is a trading range of $33.14. Now, when we look at the trading volume, you know, usually we have higher volume on and around earnings. The trading volume is 13 million shares of this stock was traded today. So now let's look at what the average volume is for Teradyne. The average trading volume for Teradyne is 3.5 million shares of this stock is what they usually trade in a trading session. So today it was about 4 times what it usually does. So they had 13 million, which what we talked about. That's what they traded today. And then Tuesday, so the previous volume was about 4.5 million. So that was above average, but it definitely wasn't as high as what it is today. So now let's look at the volume rank percentile, and I could put me back on the screen for this one. So the volume rank percentile is 99.6%, which means out of the most recent 252 trading days, only one day had more volume than today. So there was definitely significant selling volume that pushed this price down. People were selling on the bid. If you wanted to buy it, they gave it to you for whatever you were willing to pay for it, and it caused that stock to go tumbling down. So yeah, that's a scary sight right now. So I would be looking for support right here in this zone area, and I'm gonna extend this over so I can show you how to do that. I right click on this area, hit edit properties, and I want to extend the date over, so it'll come over here in that area. So I look for the highest date. It's right here. Hit the calendar. Want to move it over to May. I'm going to take it over to June. June 18th. Click OK. And there we go. So we extended it over so it'd be easier to see. We'll go ahead and extend this one as well. So go here. No, it's the top one. Here. We're going to go over to June 18th, same day. There we go. So now it's extended over. It's easier to see. So what I was looking at and what I was seeing. All right, so that's the biggest loser. Let's go over and talk about the biggest winner. So take Teradyne off the screen. I'm going to go back over here to the watch list. Quotes. And we're going to switch this to the biggest winner. So the winner for today is ticker NXPI, NXP Semiconductors NV. They had a 25.55% gain today, one day. So if someone had invested, let's pull up our calculator, $100, we'll use an even lower number, $100 times 25.55. So if they got that 25.55% gain, hit the percent, hit equal, they would have turned their $100 investment into $125.55. So I added the ROI and the principal together because of the way I worded it. That's how much the total would have grown to, including the investment capital, which was the principal. So that's the illustration. Now let's move on by talking about the previous close. So NXPI previous close was $230.39. Today they closed at $289.25. So we're going to select them. We're going to go over to analyze. So NXPI is in the information technology sector, and we looked at them earlier. They were one of the bright green ones down in the visual, in the heat map we were looking at. Now if I take me off the screen, I'm going to look at the company profile right here, NXP Semiconductors NV. Here's their website. The website is also in the link of the description. It's in the description. The link is in the description for your convenience. Let's read a little bit of this description for the company. NXP Semiconductors NV provides semiconductor products in the United States, Germany, Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, Singapore, the Netherlands, mainland China, Hong Kong. I'm saying this all wrong. The Netherlands, mainland China, Hong Kong, and internationally. All right. So now let's pull up their website. We already have the ticker on the screen. Let's blow this up. I forgot to do that earlier. All right, let's zoom in. So there's 150. And now let's take this Charles Schwab off the bottom. We want to do this. That's what we wanted to say. All right, put me back on the screen too. Yeah, there we go. Everything working. So here's their main the homepage for their website. Looks like they're dealing with something with robot. Together we accelerate the breakthroughs that advance the world. So they deal with automotive, industrial, consumer. These are the different industries and sectors that depend, that their customers reside in. They affect these different industries and sectors. NXP. So it's like a motherboard. Ready to gain access to everything. NXP. Decades of expertise and innovation, long-term success with R&D. So R&D stands for research and development, just in case you didn't know. Bright minds, bright futures. Okay. Going back to the top, let's look at some things. So they deal with cybersecurity. Okay, Zephyr. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. All right, so here's their different products. Ooh, we have a lot of different products. Battery management, audio. Remember, the link for the website is in the description for your convenience. So we're gonna go to company. Now when we go to company, here's careers. I'm looking for, okay, investor relations. Stock performance. So it's right here. So we're going to go there. I'm just looking over it to see where we're going to go. So we're definitely going to go to careers. And we can just click about. So here it is. So together we celebrate the breakthroughs that advance our world. About NXP, secure connections for a smarter world. So you can play the video. The link is in the description for your convenience if you want to watch that. Led by dedication, passion, and strong partnerships. They got their hands on a lot of different stuff. World's most sustainable companies. NXP named one of the world's most sustainable companies by Time magazine. Decades of combining. We talked about that earlier. Learn more about us. All right, that's real convenient right now. So now we got this right here. We can just go to investors relations right here from that link. And we are looking at about us. So now we want to go to careers. Bright minds, bright futures. I'm looking for the benefits. We believe. Okay, why discover why NXP is the right choice. Work your way. Here go a lot of awards. Well, not I said a lot. Here go the awards. They've been awarded right here in that section. All right, we are NXP. I don't see the benefits. I didn't see. So let me go back. Maybe it was something I needed to click. Careers, job search, student. Nope, I don't see it, guys. And I'm ready to move on. So it didn't jump out at me. So let's go ahead and go to, when I go back here, we saw investors relations down at the bottom, didn't we? Yes. So we're going to use that link. So we are on the investors relations page or section. And now we are looking for the stock. So here's the stock information right here. That doesn't look right. That's not the, am I tripping? I don't think that was the, we got to look at the charts because I don't think that's right. I could be wrong. We got to look now because I want to make sure. Yeah, that's not right. We had 289. So you telling me their website ain't updated? NXPI? NXPI? Yeah, that's crazy. We done caught something. So this was April 1st. They got the wrong stock data up on this is a first. Wow. They got the wrong stock data up on well, not necessarily wrong, but it's not up to date. They got April 1st on their website. This is wild. So let me see if they got the charts. Do they have any charts? Can I click this? I don't want no alerts. Stock performance. All right, I see that. So let's click. You can't see it. So in this list over here to the right, stock performance, NXP stock performance. Looking at this. So let's check that and see if this is up to, oh gosh, this looks so small. Let me try to zoom this in, guys. That's 150. Ooh, this hurting my eyes. You can barely read this, man. I know I can barely read it. So we change it? Let's see if we can change it. We change it to candlestick. Does that helps a little bit. but they have April 1st. That's second. This is the price data they have, what we seen earlier. So now I'm mousing over the candles for April 1st. And that's what they were showing on that page. We all the way, this is where we at now. And they don't have that updated on that page. Wow. All right. I'm done. I'm done with their website. Let's go over to ThinkorSwim. We done with, and they were the winner. Some of these companies got to get it together. All right. So we go over here, ThinkorSwim, put the disclaimer for ThinkorSwim back up. We have the ticker symbol for them up, and we are over here. So let's go over to the charts and see what we can do with this technical analysis. Oh, it's showing my business. It's showing my business. Let me see if I can do this. Settings. Do not show orders. Apply. Okay. There we go. All right. So now we are looking at a 1 year daily chart, just to let you know what we're looking at. I don't know why this looks like it's not right. So time axis, this should be on 30. Apply. Pro market close. It looks like, so they definitely gapped up. So this stock, now we need to go to the, they showing it again. So I got to go to my settings. Don't show my orders. There we go. All right. So we are looking at a 10-year weekly chart, and we're going to use this chart to try to find some support and resistance levels. I'm going to do this real quick because I'm ready to wrap it up for tonight because it's almost 12. So go ahead and do that. So I'm seeing this. I'm seeing this. Those are some support and resistance levels. And then you had this area right here, and this was the previous. That's the most recent. That's the highest price it's been in 10 years, $296.08. And this was the lowest it's been in 10 years, $58.41. That's what we're looking at on the 10-year weekly chart. So now that we drew those levels, let's go over to our 1 year daily chart. Boom. So we already have these levels here, and we can see that when we went back and we used the weekly, which I haven't seen a lot of online YouTube traders talk about, you can see that it gapped, it opened right above that price level that we used historical data from, using larger time frames. So it failed to even reach its all-time high of $296.08. And it closed like almost in the middle of this area right here. So $296.08 is definitely the resistance that I'm seeing. And the most recent support is going to be that $280.77. My technical analysis, if it does not hold this 280, the next level of support is going to be 256.62, because this gap was huge off of earnings today. Now, what I was looking at was that I'm not really impressed by the earnings from what I'm seeing when I look at the EPS. And the EPS are these numbers right here. So the EPS for today was $3.05. If you go back, this EPS is lower than the previous EPS. So the previous EPS was $3.35, yet the stock gaps up. So that doesn't make sense to me. That's concerning to me. Then if you go back even further, so we went back one EPS, we go back one more, it was $3.11 for an EPS. So that was higher than what it is now. And the price was lower over here. It was trading lower. It was actually trading below the 200-day simple moving average. But now this isn't really impressive to me from what I'm seeing historically in the other EPS, and yet it gapped up crazy. So I'm thinking that people were fascinated by the guidance. The guidance is projected profits. So this isn't profits that didn't actually gained yet. This is what they say they expect to gain in the future, and people got excited and went crazy, and the stock gapped up. So I'm not sure if I believe what I'm seeing from, is this really going to keep going up? Because even with all of that positive news, it did not hit that 10-year high. of $296.08. And then let's look at extended hours. Okay. So here's a little secret. So we go over to extended hours, cut my orders off. And it was able to get above that 296.08, that historical high. It was able to get above it, but it did it in extended hours. And it was a lot of positive news in the information technology sector because of those earnings that I talked about earlier in the video. Microsoft had earnings. I believe I said Google, Meta, and Amazon all had earnings today. And that caused the SPY and the S&P 500 to pop up. But now, in after hours, is trading. We can see it right here. There's such a spread between this. The spread is 299 and 283. The bid is almost $20. It's like $15 lower than what the ask is. It's a crazy spread on this stock right now. But anyway, let's go back and get these. We already did the support and resistance levels from that because of this gap being so big. Now, if we zoom in, the high of this candle right here would be the bottom of the window, and the low or gap, universal terms, windows or gaps. The low of today and the high of yesterday is going to be the gap. I'll draw it as a zone. So this low was 278.07 and this high was 237.94. So I'm going to do this. Now it's not going to be perfect. So I'm going to mouse over it and then I'm going to make it perfect. So the low was 278.07. So we go in here, 278.07. 278.07. Okay. And now we want the high of this candle. So the high of that candle was 237.94. Going here, 237.94. Oh, that was really close. 237.94. There we go. So now this is the gap. So you can see it. There's no regular trading hours price activity in this zone right here. And that's going to be our gap or our window with our technical analysis. Now, zoom in. We're going to do our stock quote for NXPI. Pull up my floating data box and let's go. So NXPI opened today at $281.41. They had a high of $292.85, and they had a low of $278.07. And they closed today at $289.25, which was a trading range of $14.78. When we look at the trading volume, they traded 10 million shares of this stock today. So now when we look at what they trade on average, now we can see why this is such a big deal for them, at least. So if we take this off, the average trading volume for this company is about, I'm gonna round this up, 3 million shares a trading session. And they did about 11 million shares in the trading session today. So they did more than 3 times, a little bit more than 3 times of what they normally do with the trading volume, which is significant for them. And then yesterday, on Tuesday, their trading volume was 4.7 million, which was above average as well. But they definitely went up today. And now we can really get a clear picture when we look at the volume rank percentile. So out of the most recent 252 trading days, no days had higher volume than today. So this was definitely impressive when you look at the volume and compare it with our volume rank percentile tool right here. All right. So that's my technicals on the winner. We covered everything we need to cover, so we can go back here. We can go back here, pull up my prompter. Education purpose. Yep, we got all of that going. All right, so you already know. I hope that you learned something and I hope that you earned something. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. If you want the story behind how I went from quitting my day job to becoming a full-time trader and investor in the stock market, check out my exclusive interview, Stock Market, People, Money, and Investing. Link down in the description. Make sure you tune in weekdays following a market trading session at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Take care and God bless.